Right, let's start. So I'm going to take the lead with this, okay? So don't laugh at me.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Before We Break Up Again with Alfie Brown and Jessie Cave. We've been a couple on and off for 11 years and have 4 lovely children. In this podcast, we dissect each other's tendencies and failures and celebrate each other's attributes and triumphs. Welcome to Before We Break Up Again. Right, you moved and you ruined that for me.
Is that the intro?
That was like the fun thing that they listen to when they click on the podcast.
But we do that at the end.
No, I know, but I just thought it'd be fun for me to do it at the beginning.
Okay.
But you ruined it.
I didn't ruin it.
And I'm upset now. You've ruined the day.
I didn't ruin it.
You like that?
Yeah, I did like it. I thought it was good. It was really sweet and it was concise. It was friendly. It was warm. It was engaging. It had everything that I would want from a podcast introduction.
Shall I try it again as if I've been hired for a voiceover, which I'm never hired for a voiceover?
Despite having quite a good voiceover agent.
I've done, you know, shall I do it as if I'm a voiceover?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
if this podcast goes well, we could get a lot of voiceover work.
There is no voiceover work.
There is lots of voiceover.
There is not.
Kazoo, yeah, there is.
Okay, right, ready. So this is going to be as if I'm like being auditioned right now, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Welcome to Before We Break Up Again with Alfie Brown.
They dropped an octave there.
Yeah, okay,
Just,
no.
I think commit and don't
Okay.
break away with laughter
Okay.
constantly.
It's not constantly. That's just incredibly dramatic. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Before We Break Up Again with Alfie Brown and me, Jessie Cave. We've been a couple.
No, it's commit.
Okay, fine. We've been a couple. We've been a romantic couple. We've been a couple together. We've been a couple, a committed couple, on and off. The commitment's been on and off for 11 years, give or take. 2 breakups. Shush. And we have 4 delightful offspring, children,
3
kids,
delightful.
bambinos.
Only 3 are delightful.
Oh, right, sorry.
And
3 delightful children and 1 bitch. No, I'm joking. Okay. In this comedy drama podcast, we dissect each other's tendencies and failures, mainly Alfie's, and we celebrate each other's attributes and triumphs. Thank you for listening and enjoy this episode, number 2.
It's a fucking podcast. There's 98,000 of them, and loads of them are really funny.
Okay.
And loads of them are for that.
Okay.
You don't need to apologise for anything. It could just be what it is.
Okay. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So my first question to you is, have you ever been rejected? This can be, I would like this to be a love rejection.
Yeah, I got that from the context.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Loads. I mean, I think when you're like 9, I don't know how many crushes you had when you were 9 and how deep you remember how deeply you feel them, because you're not like inoculated against rejection yet. You don't know how it feels. I mean, I think that the breakup or the rejection that I felt, I think your first love when I was 15, I've never like sobbed like that because of a breakup. Because it feels so new. I mean, it's fresh. You haven't developed scar tissue in the emotional rejection department yet. So when you break up, and when I'll call her Elizabeth, rejected me when I was 15, I mean, I was really in love with her, and I was in love. And I think actually, weirdly, maybe only in a way that only can exist when you're that young or naive, it was love at first sight. I saw her and went, she is like it. I love her.
So were you at school? What year?
GCSEs. Yeah.
So you were at a new school?
Yeah. So the first year, you do 2 years of GCSE. So I was 14, 15 or 15, 16.
So this would have been like on one of the first days.
Yeah. So I definitely wasn't 16 yet. I was 14 or 15, I think 15. And I realized when we got into school, we'd spend some time in the classroom, and I realized fairly quickly that she was always the first one in. So then I would make an effort to get up early, which I don't know, you know me, you know how dedicated that is. And then I realized that she would train at Earl's Court Station. So to get a little bit more time with her, I would get to Earl's Court Station extra early and wait for her and then go, oh my God, wow. And then through that, I realized that she lived in Richmond. So then at the weekend, I would go and buy clothes in Richmond so I could take them back during the week and go, oh, I'm going back to Richmond because I've got to take this stuff back. And then after I bought enough clothes, I just stopped buying the clothes and would go to Richmond with her every day. And then I would just go home. And then we sort of became best friends. And it was in that period that I learned to stop. I used to have quite a camp theatre voice. I mean, maybe I still do in your opinion, but I used to have a sibilant S. And everybody that assumed at school assumed that I was gay. And so I was best friends with all the girls. And I just thought, oh, everybody wants to fuck me. This is great. But in fact, they didn't. They thought I was their gay best friend. So I saw a lot of bras, girls getting changed in front of me with absolutely no compunction. It was fantastic. And then I'd go and anyway, it doesn't matter. I remember it when I pleased myself. So I remember a few times on the train on the way home, I would be going, I really fancy you. I would try to say I really fancy you, but I couldn't say it. So I would just kind of cough it out or cough through it. And then she fancied this guy called Jack who had a 6-pack.
Hang on, has anything happened?
No, nothing. We were just best friends.
Oh.
And I told her how I felt, and she went, "Oh, I just think we're friends."
Oh.
And then the physical effect of the jealousy, how hot, and I mean hot as in heat, not hot as in sexual, it felt to be so jealous and heartbroken. And Jack, we'd all after school go to the sandwich shop and he'd get milk and cookies. And then I remember once he lifted up his shirt and showed his 6-pack to everybody and he went, "Still got it, still sexy." And then I remember Elizabeth, she got all flushed and hot in the face and she blushed. And I thought, oh my God, it'd be so great I could see her get aroused. We were all sat round a table. I was eating a peanut butter bagel and she got visibly aroused by this extraordinary protruding, like little knobs of muscle in his abdomen. And I hated it. I think that's been one of my probably the jumping off point of my long-standing feelings about my own body and the athletic.
But you have had a 6-pack at points when you were younger.
Yes, when I was 22, yeah.
So do you think that you got the 6-pack at 22 to try and prove something to Elizabeth?
Yeah. I mean, she was already gay by that point. She's gay now. She's gay. Like, she's not even bi. I don't think she's married to a woman. Fully gay. Which is great.
How long did it stay with you then? So what happened after this? So did she get with, what's his name?
We went to a house party in Dartford. She did get with him and never was with him for a couple of months and then he lost interest. And I thought, yeah, you fucking idiot. And I carried on being best friends with her. And then it wasn't until a house party, maybe like a year later. It's like after a year of pining after her and I'm wandering back through like where I lived, like before I got home to my mum. And I remember I came in the house one day and mum could tell I'd been crying. And she obviously could tell that I'd been out of sorts for a long time. And she took my shoulder and she went, "Oh, Alf, is it that girl that's done you wrong?" like asking, is the reason why you've been in such a funk recently because of a girl? And I felt really exposed by the fact that she could tell, but also so grateful that she could tell. So I resented it, but was also warmed by it. And I eventually at this house party, I got incredibly high. So high that I couldn't sit still. I was worried that if I sat still, my legs would fall off because of all the weed. And we were all just mucking about in a bedroom. And then suddenly we were like sort of wrestling a little bit in the bed, me and Elizabeth, and we kissed. A really teenage, turgid-tongued.
I don't want to know about the tongue situation.
Swirling round in each other's mouths, like not good, thoughtful, sensitive kissing, but like urgent. The important thing is not if we kiss well, it's that we kiss. And I don't think I've ever been like 2005 Champions League final and that kiss. Like moments of like surprise.
Right. Okay, for you.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say that was like the best kiss I've ever had in my life.
No, it wasn't the best kiss at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't even
or the most aroused you've ever been in your life.
It wasn't the most aroused I've ever been in my entire life. It was more a sense of surprise that something had gone my way. A similar sensation occurred to me when I passed my driving test. I just didn't think I'd be the sort of person that ever passed a test. I didn't think I'd ever be the sort of person that the girl wanted to kiss. I didn't think Liverpool would ever win the Champions League. Like shock, fantastic things that means that life can go your way. And like, obviously it doesn't compare to the elation of being in love with you or the birth of so many of our children or indeed Liverpool winning the league, because that didn't come out of nowhere. It was a different kind of joy. Yeah.
To be surprised is an amazing feeling.
Like
so rare.
Our love came about very differently, and it wasn't something that I was ever stunned by. It was something that I just feel a deep and consistent sense of joy in. But
I mean, you have been surprised. We have both surprised each other in different ways over the years. Yeah. But I know what you mean. The surprise of someone liking you back when you didn't think they did is incredibly euphoric. And then what happened?
We went out for 2 months. And then a new boy came to the school and he was a graffiti artist and she fancied him. And I said, oh, well, that's okay. We can work through that. Like, you know, by this time, I was living with my dad, kind of nearish where she was. So we would actually walk. We lived on kind of parallel roads. And I remember like us, like after 2 months of a relationship, and she was breaking up with me because she liked this other guy. And
Did she say, I like this? Or could you just tell?
Yeah, no. She told me, yeah. And it was before the summer holidays. And I was crying on Sheendale Road in Richmond, about to go home to this grubby, unfurnished house by the side of the railway track where my dad was living after his second divorce. And it was just me and him, that really bleak place to live. And I was weeping in front of her going, but we have movie love, I said to her.
Oh, Alfie.
I know.
Oh, no.
And she went, no, I can't. I'm sorry. And then about 6 months later, she said, no, I always asked to get back together until I didn't. And then when I stopped caring, I also lost about a stone one summer because my stepdad bought a rowing machine so we could get in shape. So I used it and I lost all this weight and I lost my sibilant S. And then suddenly when I came back to school the second year, the girls looked at me in a different way.
Mm.
Oh, it was good. And as did Elizabeth.
And then you crushed her.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Into the fucking ground.
No. What did she ask? Did she ask to?
She asked to get back together. We did get back together for 2 months. Then we broke up again. And she maintained her love for me after we broke up that time. But I wanted to go on to other things.
Other pastures.
Mm-hmm. And I went out with another girl in the year below.
Oh, God. This is making me so tense.
Yeah, you invited this onto yourself.
No,
you really
it's
did.
amazing. I'm really glad to know that. Kind of knew a little bit, but I didn't know the full extent.
Now, when we flip this and you start answering, have you ever been rejected? Yeah, which
one will I pick?
Well, I suppose because I already know, because I think you've made a lot of money talking about rejections in various shows.
I've been rejected twice. I've been rejected twice, which were big rejections.
Mm-hmm.
But I have also been rejected, I think, numerous times in my teens, which aren't even worth counting. But I didn't have a lucky romantic teen life.
Yeah.
I didn't have any relationships, or I had lots of, you kiss people and you whatever, you do whatever with people. I definitely was mean to a few boys, and I did have a relationship, and I think I acted quite badly. Maybe I had a couple of relationships that acted quite badly, but in terms of me being I never quite realized, I don't think, that I did have I was attractive, but I always just felt like this ugly tennis girl. And looking back, actually, I did have some people that really did like me, and I didn't treat them very nicely. And I do really regret that.
Yeah.
But in terms of rejections that have scarred me.
They could be rejections that have scarred you. You could be more scarred by a rejection that you did rather than received, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm deeply ashamed of how I've behaved romantically to certain boys, men. And it's all out of insecurity, but it's come across like I'm fucking evil. And I can't believe I've behaved like that. Can't believe it.
I think we'd all like a bit of detail.
No, I can't. Maybe on another one. No, let's just talk about rejection. Let's stage the question. The most, I think, the teenage years are that love you feel, that passion will never be matched for the rest of your life, because it is the first, isn't it?
Mm.
And my teenage rejection was late teens as well. It was like 19. I basically had a similar situation where I had a commute love. We both lived in Ealing, and we worked out when we got to sixth form. When we met immediately and immediately got on. We were in the same class, and we worked out that we both lived in Ealing, and so we would just get the train together to Ealing to Hammersmith every day. Lovely, lovely, pure friendship. And sure enough, he then admitted that he liked me, but it's so upsetting. I thought he was like a cool arty boy, and I had already decided that I needed to be cool and popular, because I'd never been popular in my life. So I thought, no, I need to be with a jock. And a jock did express interest in me, like a rugby jock. I don't give a shit about rugby. I didn't know anything about rugby, but I was like, oh, but he's popular. That's what I should do. And it was also the first time where I was like, I need to have sex, because I had been raped, and everyone knew that I'd been raped because it was in the press, and it is like a big deal that it was like, how I can't believe it really happened, but because because everybody knew about the trial.
Yeah.
At school, I was like known as probably wasn't, but I felt like I was known as like the rape victim.
Yeah.
So I tried to reclaim that.
Yeah.
And go out with a jock. And then I'd be like, well, I'm in a happy relationship with a jock. So I'm not a victim.
Yeah.
And it backfired so tremendously. And the damage was done with this lovely friendship I'd formed with this lovely guy.
So, sorry. I'm sorry.
Retrace
our steps here.
Yeah, sorry.
You had a lovely commute relationship with a very sweet boy. The friendship was on the cusp of developing into a romance.
Mm-hmm.
But you...
I think. I abandoned him to go out with this jock. And then my lovely friend didn't speak to me. And I always regretted that. But we did keep a lovely...
Was there animus in his lack of speech to you? Or
what does that mean?
Was he angry? You
could tell he was kind of offended that I was going with a jock type thing. And I think he just didn't speak to me. And I did this performative act for my sixth form years that you know when I do my funny singing voice? You know when I'm just trying to be funny by singing really badly? You know how I do.
When you're just singing, yeah.
Singing, but you know how well I can sing, and I sing badly on purpose.
Sure.
I do.
Yeah. I
can sing really well, but I choose to be funny with my voice. And it's always been like a superpower I've got to make people laugh.
Do you want to give us a little...
No, because the microphone would just break.
Just move away from the microphone.
No.
Just go lean back and do it.
No, people would hate it.
Jessie, you're going to have to give us something here.
Okay.
You can't no-hand us like this. I've already
done what?
Come on, sing.
What have I already done?
Sing Popular from Wicked.
What have I already done?
Sing Popular from Wicked.
Popular. I gotta be popular. That kind of thing. The sun will come out. That kind of thing. You get what I mean? Okay. So what I would do...
Is this with your... Is enmeshed with that your humorous lack of ability to get lyrics right?
Maybe. I think it's the...
But is that on purpose?
No, it's
the lyrics thing?
No, it's absolutely not on purpose. It's because I so don't give a shit and I can't be bothered to know the correct lyrics.
I would imagine that it's harder for your brain to leap to... It's just...
No, it's not. It's very childlike because I see our kids doing it too. It's just, I haven't developed the need to learn. I'm very self-absorbed probably in that way.
Even when you like sang the song from Annie, it's like you said the sun will come up tomorrow.
Yeah, because who gives a shit? I don't know. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I would try and be funny going into the class every day. So we had you go into your form and you do your register with your teacher. And so that kind of 20 kids, whatever, are your form. I'm sorry. Okay, don't hold that against me. Right, so...
Jessie often gets at me about suppressing burps. She's just suppressed one herself. Please continue.
Okay. So in this form, my lovely friend was in my form who had kind of gone off me because I was going out with this jock. And I would do things like come into the form room in the morning and do my singing. I have no idea why I would do that. But everyone was like, haha, she's funny. And then I realized if you were funny, you had a free pass. And so I used that a lot, even though it made me repellent sexually.
What made you repellent?
Doing my funny act.
Yeah.
Of doing my voices.
Yes, it was before the time that being funny makes you sexy.
No, yeah.
The boys at school are too insecure to find funny women sexy, especially when they're funny in an offbeat and quite avant-garde way, which you can often be.
No one got me. And so I had this 3-week thing with this jock that I got what I needed out of him. But then I was like, I'm sorry, I can't pretend I like rugby. And his mum was I remember the mum getting excited about me. And it was the first feeling of, hang on a second. I don't like this thing. I don't want this. I don't want this. And I thought then I would be able to go back to my friend who I did like. I liked immediately. But I was then...
Romantically?
I was then dead to him. And that then...
But hang on. Did you express... I need more detail. After you broke up with the jock because you realised that you couldn't maintain intellectual satisfaction in your relationship with this meathead, you went back to your sensitive friend and did you say, I've broken up with meathead, I'd like to have conversations again and I like you? Was there a moment?
I wasn't that eloquent.
No, I didn't think I'd got it verbatim. I'm saying, did you confess your love for him?
No, but it was there and you could see that I was trying and I think he just didn't want anything to do with me. And then I would then, a reaction to that was to ramp up the singing and trying to be funny. And we developed this really difficult, there was a huge amount of animosity between us.
You and your friend?
Yeah, because I would then ramp it up by being like, have you not taken your happy pills this morning? And like be fucking offensive. I didn't know at that time anything about the fact that he might have actually been I was fucking offensive and I didn't realize that I was killing any chance of ever having anything between us. And then I got so weird about the rape, just in a weird way. So all of my art was about PTSD. Which is really tragic to think about. But it wasn't actually because I had post-traumatic stress syndrome. It was because I was like, well, no, they're not finding me attractive and I've just fucked that up. So I now need to have a thing. What's my thing?
Yeah, but I think you can now, you relativize these things that have happened to you and you go, well, I was raped, so that's who I am. And you are worried that people perceive it to be your identity. So you try and wrest back control of that by making it your identity. And now I think you can look back on that with a bit more perspective and go, I didn't really have PTSD, but you were certainly affected by it. It's not like you're saying it like it's something you should be embarrassed by, but I don't really think, or like it was somehow false and you were actually fine. It was just
No, of course not.
Of course not. It was obviously a huge impediment to my development now looking back. I mean, it really, really did change the chemistry of my brain. And I think I would have gone on a completely different path sexually had it not happened. Which is very clear to me now. And so what I did is then I tried to cultivate something with him over the next 2 years, so sixth form, but we never got back to that lovely friendship. But then one Friday towards the middle of the year, the last year of school, when everyone's thinking about, you applying for university and stuff. And I really didn't have any idea of what I wanted to do. He said he was doing some really good artwork. He was an amazing artist. And I said, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm doing this for my portfolio to get into Kingston, which is a really good art foundation. And I was like, oh, and he was like, yeah, you're good. You should do that. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. And that weekend, the deadline was on Monday to create a whole portfolio to get into Kingston Art Foundation, which is one of the most competitive art foundations to get into. I manufactured a portfolio. I just worked all weekend, did loads of art, don't know what I did. And it worked. I got in and I followed him to Kingston with the hope of him falling in love with me and forgiving me. But he didn't. But then it did. But this continued for a few more years. Did you ever have sex with him?
Yes.
Right. So that happened.
It did eventually.
Down the road.
But after a lot more, it was a very complicated situation in the end. But we did have a massive thing at one point in the second year of sixth form where I remember having a phone call with him crying and I was drunk and I was in my bed at home. And I remember him saying you just, because by this point I had, kissed a few boys and I had been
fingered.
I'd really been quite frantic with a need to be seen as attractive.
Right.
And he said, you wouldn't be mine. You wouldn't be mine. Which looking back is quite fucking ridiculous to say at 16. But what he meant was you just, what we had was really special and you just kind of, you've now gone around with everybody and like, yeah, you wouldn't be mine.
Damaged goods.
And I know he didn't mean it like that.
It's fine. We haven't named him.
But he definitely, it did sow a seed. And yeah, I've never really recovered from that. In a way, I've never recovered from that mistake I made of going with the cool people when actually the people that liked you for who you were from the get-go were cooler. It was so contrived of me.
Yeah, but that's what being a teenager's for.
I know, but I really regret it.
Yeah, I don't think you can't, like, that's like regretting shitting yourself when you were a baby. Like it's
oh my God, can I tell you something awful as well that happened with him?
Well, yeah, in a minute. But I'll just finish. Your teenage years are for these mistakes.
I know.
And as long as you are aware of them and can reflect on them with a degree of self-knowledge and intelligence, then that's great. It's only the people that went, oh yeah, in my teenage, I just was brilliant all the time. And that's what my thing was.
I know, but and I do agree. And I think most people who end up being funny are the people who did fuck up their teenage years. And I messed up so many times as a teen.
You had your teenage years fucked up as much as you fucked them up though.
No, I fucked them up. I so deeply regret so many decisions I made.
Yes, I know, but you were making them off the back of
No, before. Such an,
But then you would have been like 13, 14 then, so you can't really.
Yeah, but it's really good to think about because I think this is where I want our kids I want them to know that they are going to make mistakes. And my main takeaway from this story is I don't want them to ever be chasing cool. And I know that you say that that's inevitable. You can't not do that as a teen, but I think I would have had a lot more long-lasting friendships had I maintained my relationships with the boys who weren't cool or the girls who weren't cool.
I don't say that you have to. Part of it is chasing cool.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, well, that's what I thought it was.
The only thing I would say is that you can't say to somebody who's about to embark on their teenage years, don't do this, do that. Don't be like me, learn from my mistakes, make your own. There's so many different journeys available to the teenager that you can't give advice that's broad enough to fit all of them apart from like puzzle it out or try and be self-aware or reflect or be kind or, think about, when I was 14, yeah, Jesus Christ, I was so horrible to people. I feel deeply guilty about a lot of the people that I was mean to. And then I think, maybe the people who were horrible to me were, feel guilty about that.
Do you think that it's possible to be a teenager that doesn't have any issues?
Yeah, but you grow up and I think there's probably more regularly that you develop into not too interesting a person. I don't want to, I don't know because maybe that's so, but I think
it will catch up. You will fuck up somewhere along the line.
First of all, I don't think many people reflect on their teenage years as an unbroken succession of different triumphs. I think that people reflect on their teenage years as, oh my God, my teenage year was so fucked up. Yeah, because you changed from a child into a fully grown adult person almost. The child that you were started wanting to fuck people. Like it's mad.
Yeah, the hormones are just the thing that fuck you up so much.
And you become extremely mentally ill. I mean, it's in the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Illnesses. It's called adolescent rebellion disorder.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, that's what's so stupid about the DSM-5, in my opinion, is that, like, yeah, of course, adolescent rebellion disorder, that's all of it. It's not a mental illness. It's just part of the dance. I don't know. There's so many different teenage identities, and there's ones that I wish that I'd had now, and there's ones at the time that I was a teenager that I wish that I'd had.
My main thing for our kids, is that they have some passion of their own outside of school. Because if they have something that they feel is sacred to them, then whatever happens in school doesn't really matter as much. So that's what I really hope that they have.
And I had the last part of my teenage years working in a shop, which was the best thing for, developing a work ethic. Not that I've maintained it at all.
But you were given that privilege by your parents to let you make that decision to drop out. Like, that's really amazing that they did that.
I made it pretty easy for them. I made it. What did
you get for your A-levels?
I didn't take A-levels.
You didn't take A-levels?
No, I don't have any A-levels.
You don't have any?
I don't have
You didn't
any.
even fail them?
No, I
Did
didn't.
you take the exam?
I didn't sit in any A-level exams, no.
Bloody hell.
I think that
That's amazing. You're so fucking bright. How?
Because
you just can't do exams.
I can't do exams. I find the whole thing completely bizarre.
Yeah.
It's the same reason I can't do tax. You've made it too difficult.
God.
You're fucking I just want to live in a wood and read.
Well, I'm not living in a wood.
Well,
I'll read.
We're going to live near a wood.
I'm not living in a wood.
We're going to live near a wood.
Woods are creepy. Woods are creepy places.
Anyway, I think the important thing to learn is be yourself.
So do you keep up with Elizabeth?
No.
You have no idea, but you know she's gay now. You know she's married.
I don't know that she's married now. I know that she got married because...
There's the optimist in you.
I know. Well, they got together so that who became her wife was in our year as well.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, and I would confide to her about what was going on with Elizabeth towards the end, and back like when I thought, God, Elizabeth's being a bit of a nightmare. I can't deal with it, and then I think I confessed to this girl one day that I actually slept with somebody else, and then Elizabeth said, I know that you slept with so-and-so.
Oh my God.
Oh no. And she was put off me by the person that later became
her wife. So do you think that, oh my God, I want to know if they're still together. I really need to know if they're still together. Can you look it up?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. But not right now, obviously.
Wow. I still know a little bit about what he's doing.
Is he a successful man? What would he be like as a partner now, do you think?
It's, oh God, I don't know. I think he was just such a great person. And I really, really, I think about him all the time. I do. And I really do wonder if he thinks about me.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of those things that never happened that could have been so great.
Yeah.
But just never happened because of my mistake.
How old were you during this sort of time? It's A-levels, so like
15,
17, 18?
15 to 22.
Fucking hell.
But like, barely any chat.
And when you were making love at art school?
No, we didn't make love at art school.
When did you make love?
So my art school thing, he didn't talk to me really. He was much too cool. And
he became cool?
Oh no, he was always cool. He was like a cool alternative. Yeah, he just wasn't a jock.
Right.
He was always cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he was super cool at art school. And I was not. And then we went on this trip to Italy with the art school, maybe Italy, Florence, I don't know where. And it was during a phase where I drank a lot. So between like 17, 18, 19, I drank more than I've ever drunk in my life, which I think is the reason why I don't drink very much now, because it was so devastating, the effects of alcohol. Like I would black out,
Mm-hmm.
which I know is normal, but for me, I just can't imagine ever drinking that much again. Anyway, went out one night and I actually smoked, which is, really unheard of for me. I remember like performatively lying down on a dance floor, smoking inside, and got so fucking drunk. And then we all had to go on a bus. Oh God.
Did you shit on the bus?
No.
Okay, go on.
We all had to go on a fucking bus on, I don't know, rocky roads. I vomited on the bus.
Okay.
The whole bus had to stop. Everyone had to get out the bus. Everyone was like making sounds like, oh. And
I can imagine if you
doing that?
Yeah, I can imagine you. And I can imagine that you went like, right, if we're going to vomit on a bus, let's make it a big event. And
I'll
you
be-
going, like projectile in a kind of crescent across the bus.
It's so upsetting. I have blocked it out. All I remember visually.
You haven't. You just told us.
No,
about
but
it.
that's all I remember. I cannot even think about it for any longer than this. Everyone had to evacuate the bus. We had to stand on the side of the road. No one, not even my friends, came up to me. They were all like, everyone was just making sounds like that was disgusting, gross. Oh my God, how could she fucking do this type thing? I was an outcast because of the vomit. And I have no idea what happened next. Obviously, we would have had to get back on the bus. Obviously, there would have been some kind of fine to pay.
Mm.
Can you think about, and obviously
Somebody else would have cleaned up your sick.
someone else would have cleaned up the sick. I was so upset and just kind of silent with it. I just couldn't talk. And he would have been on the bus smelling my vomit.
Yeah. So is this before and after you made love with each other?
This is before, but this is then it
There you
happened
go.
later. Yeah, I know, but
Testament to your
I know, but he
will to win.
It's very upsetting.
So when you, during this time period when you were sort of physically together?
No, barely once.
Once.
Yeah.
Oh, so there was never any like dating. It was
Yeah,
just
there was a bit of dating, but before we slept together. And then we slept together once and then that was it.
Oh, did it just not go? Was it not great? Did it feel weird?
No, he had to go back to his he had a girlfriend.
Oh, yes.
I think they were broken up temporarily.
No, they weren't. They were together. They were as solid as a rock.
I think
fucking ruined it.
No, I think they weren't together and then they got back together. And I think they ended up getting
Hitched.
married. Yeah, I think they're still together.
Let's hope they don't listen.
Well, no, I am genuinely worried about that.
Okay, great.
But, fuck it. There's no hard feelings.
Well, I mean, there might be if she hears it and learns this for the first time.
She wouldn't hear. Anyway, that I'm glad we did that. I think you had a lot more activity during your teenage years than I did.
Well, I also think these things are very present in my brain. I have a fairly strong ability to recall, as you often comment on.
Well, thank God you didn't vomit on a bus, because then you wouldn't be able to live anymore. You'd be, remembering that every single day of your life. Thank God I have a bad memory.
Yeah, but I've got other, I went to Latitude Festival once and drank so much and had a spliff that was laced with speed, and I ended up going into the tent with my friend Henry, and we were in there. And I shat myself in my sleeping bag, whilst 10 centimeters away from him. And I thought to myself, I wonder what I'll do now. So I tried to kind of take my pants off, but my hands got covered in poo. Then I had to open the tent, and I put my pooey hand on the gauze kind of mesh tent door. And it looked, the bit in Titanic where the hand goes on the window. It was like that, but in poo on a tent. And, I think about that, but it became funny. And then do you know what? We all hung out outside my tent, and everybody would say there was a girl there from a Scandinavian band who were like big, and Jamie Dornan was with us. And
Your stories are like this. Mine is vomiting on the side of a road with no one talking to me. You have Jamie Dornan in your fucking gross story.
Jamie Dornan tried to make me feel better by telling me a story about the time that he shot himself.
He seems like a great guy.
He is a great guy. He's really, really cool.
With a funny run.
He's got a funny run and he's very, very sweet. He went, oh no, there was one time I just needed a shit on the way home and for some reason I needed a shit so bad I couldn't get the key in the door. So I just went, fine, I'll shit myself. It's sad that I've done that on this story in this podcast. He could have told that on Graham Norton and got a big rousing reception.
I don't think his PR would have let him.
I think anyway, I'm just saying that we've all got stories about, poo and sick
shit
and stuff
and
like
sick.
that.
Yeah. I think having kids makes you a lot less squeamish about it too. I mean, I used to be really not okay with talking about any shit stuff.
But now you're always going on about it.
No, I'm not. You go on about it the entire time.
I find bodily functions, my whole career is spent trying to come up with intelligent reflections about about my experiences, about what it is to be a human, about the world around us, and try and tie these up in neat jokes that illuminate some deeper truth. So when I'm at home, it's quite nice to have a little break from that and laugh at poo and silly bits of poo and wee and burping. And
also, you were just so unsqueamish as well. But given that we got pregnant, we went on a date, I got pregnant on it. 9 months later, I am giving birth and you're just seeing a human come out my vagina that you've only recently got acquainted with. There's very little, we had to go in deep quite quick in terms of bodily function.
But that's...
You were just always really good, made me feel really safe and comfortable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad about that. Yeah,
right.
No, I found it completely, it's a separate thing.
I know.
The vagina it's like it's a different vagina. It's like there's a vagina that you want to kiss and then there's the vagina that you want to see a child come out of successfully. And I've seen one thing happen to that now. So it's like I've seen...
When people say, seeing the birth of my child was like seeing my house get burnt down.
My favourite pub.
Oh, my favourite pub getting burnt down.
Robbie Williams on Graham Norton the other day.
I cannot think of anything more offensive than that. I think it's...
You can't think of anything more offensive?
I can think of loads more offensive. But that is so upsetting. It's so upsetting that he said that. Like, it's ridiculous. Also, a human comes out, the vagina goes back to what it was, basically. It's fine.
If you're committed to the Kegel app, which you were, Squeezy. Thank you very much, Squeezy.
Well,
if you'd fancy sponsoring the podcast, we've...
Squeezy app.
The Squeezy app. We've got...
I really don't think it makes that much of a difference.
We've got vagina. A Squeezy app's success story here.
No.
Yeah?
Right, that's
tight as a drum.
Okay, thank you for listening. We're very happy to have done this. That I actually got transported. I really felt like I was with you as a teenager being rejected by Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Do you feel closer to me?
You didn't come up with a name for him, so no.
I can't.
Elizabeth's not really called Elizabeth.
Okay. Simon.
Okay.
Me and Simon.
Me and Elizabeth.
Never got there.
Elizabeth from New Zealand.
Do you think
originally of Samoan heritage? Beautiful.
Right. Do you think that had she not rejected you, do you think that you could have possibly been one of those people who stays with someone from teen years to now?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think I already knew that as a teen. I think I already thought, well, what's the point? We're not going to be together forever. So I'm definitely not getting into a relationship now. I had that train of thought up until, I mean, I would have, if you hadn't got me pregnant, I don't think I would have got into a relationship for more than 3 months until I was a lot older.
My first serious adult relationship, that was, I remember being in the pub with my friend and him quite blasé saying, oh, well, when you break up. And I went, what are you talking about when we break up? What do you mean? He went,
oh my God.
Well, you're 22. You're not going to stay together forever, are you? And I went, how fucking dare you?
This is so annoying because you seem to have regressed. You seem to have been more ready to commit and, you know, up for the idea of settling down when you were 22 than you are now.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, but she was gorgeous.
Okay. Thank you for listening, everybody.
That you can't leave it there, obviously. I've just made a horrid joke.
To teach you a lesson. To teach you a lesson.
I don't want to be taught a lesson. Yeah. And then we did break up. But that's the thing, is that I think having the experience of believing that you'll be together forever with somebody when you're A, 15, 16 and B, 19 to 22 years old, and then that being broken, you go, oh, relationships end. Especially seeing as, you know, your dad gets married and divorced twice, married 3 times, divorced twice. So does your mum. Like, of course, well, where's my evidence of a relationship lasting forever?
Yeah, that's why we're both kind of doomed.
Well, no, that's not the energy. I don't think we're doomed. I'm just...
Well, we don't have many good long-term couples.
No, well, let's fucking be one then. And also, I don't think that is a bad thing. I think the fact that you've seen the demise of so many relationships, and indeed been a part of the demise of so many relationships, gives you more perspective on what it takes to elongate a relationship, or to compromise, or to get through the moment where you go, fuck me, I'm not like, you know, I'm not totally happy right now. And that's not a permanent feeling. And there is perspective gained from the reality of having broken up with people who you thought you'd be together forever with. And it means that you are able to be more thoughtful and mature and selfless in a relationship, hopefully, to learn and not like idealize anything, you know?
Yes, well said. Which is why we've broken up twice.
Yeah, and our relationship is stronger for it.
Yeah. We'll talk about that on another episode, I think. I definitely think it's stronger.
For sure.
It's definitely...
That's not a debate.
I don't think the second breakup was necessary.
I think it was. You're much better now.
Right. Well...
And so am I think.
Yeah.
And it was totally necessary.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that next time. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having our children.
Thank you for not leaving.
Thank you.
Again.
For letting me leave.
This is Before We Break Up Again. If you want to follow us, you can look us up on Instagram, and you can email us beforewebreakupagain@gmail.com. If you have any thoughts, questions, critiques, we would welcome them.
Well, I certainly would. Thank you very much. Goodbye.